Welcome to the 19th episode of 23 Real, 20 minutes of real talk with real producers in real estate, brought to you by Ohio Real Title and hosted by me, Rick Capretta. Today's guest grew up in Bainbridge, which makes her a Kenston Bomber. Boo, because I'm a West Geauga Wolverine. So whatever, some friendly rivalries back in the day. She still lives out in Geauga County with her husband and two daughters. She was licensed in real estate back in 2008. Last year, she was a member of the RE/MAX 100 Club. She's been featured in Top Agent Magazine, and she's in the top 15% nationwide of agents on HomeSnap. This year alone, she's got about 9 million pending enclosed thus far, when that's about 50 units. And some of her hobbies are painting and art, cooking, and running. So I'd like to welcome to the show Steph Snavely of RE/MAX Traditions, Chagrin Falls office. Hello, hello.
Hi.
What's going on?
Now we're enjoying this beautiful weather in November.
I know. I'm sorry I got you locked in here for 20 minutes instead of being outside and enjoying this weather. So
that's okay. I'd be here otherwise.
Are you still crazy busy?
I am. Slow and steady, kind of taking each deal at a time. But yeah, I am absolutely still busy.
Yeah, this is pretty nutty. I mean, do you remember any year like this?
No, I can't. It's been a really bizarre year. Last year was pretty hectic as well. A lot of sales. But this year kind of takes the cake.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Very aggressive market.
In more ways than one, for sure. So
that's right.
All right. So we'll jump right into this thing. So I know that you were an agent in 2008, and then I know that you took some time off there for a few years. You had the girls and you raised them. And then you came back, what was it, about two and a half years ago, full time, something like that?
Yeah, about 2 years ago. I got married in 2014. I had my first daughter, June, in 2015. And I planned on taking it easy and kicking it back a notch, when I became a mother, and kind of wanted it to happen organically when I did go back to work. About 2 years ago is when I jumped back in full swing. And I felt I was ready. I felt my children were ready. My family was ready for me to make that commitment.
Was it easy or hard to step away from the business that you'd been grinding at once you had June?
It was a change, right? So, but becoming a parent, you're a parent, you get it. Yep. Your whole life changes. You have to make a lot of sacrifices, right? But it's, my calling to be a mom, so it was it difficult? Yes and no. I pre-planned it. Let's see. I remember walking into the hospital in labor with my first, on the phone, negotiating a deal in Seven Hills. And I said, okay, time to go back. I need to close it down and do what I need to do as a mom. I had my two girls. It was a little bit challenging getting back in, having to remind my circle, my sphere, that I was back in the business, that they could call me with the real estate needs, and that I was back selling properties. So I felt like a rookie for a little bit. I had to call some of the bigger agents in town and say, hey, what do you have? Can I hold this open for you? And just slowly start from there. But yeah, the steam is rolling. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, so were most of those agents within RE/MAX, or were you reaching out to anybody to get any time out there?
Some of them,
Because I was going to say, how receptive are other agents to people from other brokerages helping, with their opens?
I guess that depends on the relationship that you have with them, right? Yeah. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I've been in the business for, 12, almost 13 years now. So I've built some really solid relationships with other agents, some in my brokerage, maybe some that used to be in my brokerage that have switched brokerages. But I stay in touch with the people that I kind of click well with, right? That we have the same philosophy and we're doing pretty much the same thing. So, I guess it really depends there.
Yeah. Because not actually working as an agent, I don't know sometimes how receptive they are, but if you've got extra hands to hold open houses for you, why not?
Well, that's exactly right. It's a
better than not having it. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And I certainly didn't want to sit around twiddling my thumbs and cold calling all day. So
yeah, no, thank you. So, all right. Well, you kind of mentioned that you felt like a rookie when you came back into it. Did you notice any differences in the market? And so who some of the players were, who some of the bigger players were, anything like that? You notice any of those differences when you came back?
somewhat. It felt mostly the same. I didn't completely remove myself from the world of real estate while I was at home, raising my little girls. I dabbled a little bit here and there and did a deal here or there. It was really mostly for friends and, family members, things of that nature. But yeah, you saw a lot of teams being formed. That's kind of what I was picking up on. A lot of teams being formed, which was something that was naturally going to happen just with the increase of the market. And, you saw a lot of use of technology changing. So we had all these tools at our fingertips, all these online sites that we could do our marketing, our Facebooks, our Instagrams, all of the social media. We had all those platforms, but the way that people were using them was changing. So it became more of I guess, a stronger way to market what you were doing. Yeah.
Silly question here because I don't know the history of some of the technology. Are you using like dot-loop now?
Oh yeah.
What was that? Was dot-loop around when you stepped away, or was that just coming in, or was that already pretty well established at that point?
You know what? It wasn't well established, and Remax certainly wasn't using it. It was around. I was very familiar with, both dot-loop, DocuSign. It was becoming more popular. We're starting to catch on and use it. I think a lot of people were hesitant to it, especially some of these agents that have been in the markets or been in the industry since, 80s, 90s, that just know no other way other than to write it on a piece of paper.
Since electricity.
Yeah. But it really simplifies what we're doing, and talk about the ultimate way to have time management. So yeah, it was around. It just really wasn't being used. Now we use it for everything. Right. So yeah.
I know that was some of the things when I got into this industry. Okay, I thought dot-loop was pretty good. Kind of scary because of you could, as a buyer or seller, it feels like you could just fly through and not even see what you're signing sometimes.
Right.
But you have the option to slow down and take a look. But other things that weren't in place, like I know we got online deposits of earnest money. Like, I'm like, how is that not in place yet? So I'm like, thank God we keep getting more of these little things in place, because who really wants to go drive an hour to go pick up a check and then meet your title rep or drop it at their office or get to their office? They don't have a Dropbox. You're just like, there's got to be some better ways.
Got to be a better way. It certainly helps streamline the transaction.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So how did you originally get into real estate?
How did I originally get into real estate? Well, it kind of, I can't say just happened, but it kind of did just happen. So at the time, I was actually at Paul Mitchell, getting a cosmetology license. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My father's side of the family in the moving industry. Obviously I at the time I was dating, which I'm now married to, my husband, who is, they're in real estate development and construction. So, my sister's an interior designer, just kind of all the pieces and parts. I've always specifically had an interest in real estate, and kind of watched some of the agents that my dad worked with, being in the industry. And I just found it so intriguing. So while I was, in cosmetology school is when I decided to get my real estate license. And my husband, Cliff, really encouraged me to do so. And it's something that he was also very passionate about. He went to Ohio University and did some internships with some commercial real estate brokers. But I just always had an interest, and I'm so glad that I did, because I really sunk my feet in, and have been refining my craft. I love my job, which, goes back to the first thing you asked me. Was it, hard to get back to work? Yes and no. I love my job. I can't remember the last time I woke up and didn't want to go to work. It's just a very fulfilling career, all around,
Right.
and it fits the mold for what I'm trying to do, be a businesswoman and a mom.
Yeah. So then were you actually ever cutting hair, or were you just in school?
I never worked in a salon.
Okay.
I never worked in a salon. I did hair, I did makeup, more on privately, right? For weddings, special
Gotcha.
occasions and things like that. But yeah, I just got right into real estate, and I was with a different broker at the time, and pretty much shadowing other agents as much as I could to learn the business. I was very young, very naive. I knew I wanted to be in real estate, but I didn't know how to be in real estate. I didn't know enough about business. So I was fortunate enough to have some really good mentors over, with the first broker that I was with that helped me with that baptism by fire philosophy.
Who did you start out with?
Well, CC Riley really helped me along. And, she showed me a lot about a transaction and the way that it worked. I remember, and the manager that I had over at the time, Tina Nichols, was my manager at the time over at the Pepper Pike office. And I remember the first house that I sold. And when the buyers told me after the showing that they wanted to write an offer, I just freaked out, and called Tina, on the way back to the office. And you have to meet me here now. I'm in a movie theater. I said, I don't care. I have to write a purchase agreement, and you are meeting me in the conference room in 15 minutes. So it was all baptism by fire. But gosh, I was very fortunate to have some very experienced and professional people helping me along the way. So
that's great. And then how long have you been at Remax, and were you always at this Chagrin office or not?
Yes, since I've been with Remax, I've always been at the Chagrin office. Let's see, I joined Remax in, I believe, 2012.
Okay. So you were at the other place for about 4 years, or was there any other places in between?
Yeah, I was part of the Easy Sales team with Keller Williams.
Gotcha.
Howard Hanna, which was really cool to be part of a team and understand the dynamic of that. And then I just kind of wanted to switch gears and go back out on my own.
Right. Was Easy Sales team back then as ginormous as it is now?
No.
Or was it just getting started then?
I wouldn't call it just getting started. But yeah, they were by no means the team that they are today. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not surprised. Greg and Mike are just a powerhouse. So I was not surprised to see how rapidly and quickly and efficiently they grew that team.
Yeah. And then I'm going to ask you another question, because we've now talked about teams a couple of times. Have you ever thought about starting a team?
It's in the pipeline.
Okay.
I certainly see myself doing that in the future. When it happens, it needs to be the right fit. When I start a team, I'd really like to have it with people that really work at the same pace, with the same values, the same systems, and that I do, so we can kind of,
Makes sense. All right. So I've also interviewed a bunch of different families that had different real estate ties, mothers and daughters and brothers and sisters and all this, that, and the other. So I know you said your husband has had an interest in it. What about children? What do you think this would be a business that you'd want them to get into?
I would love if they got into real estate, if that's what they want, right?
Of course.
I don't want to stifle their creativity, but if it's what they want, funny you asked that, because my 5-year-old just started preschool this year. And so, you get that chalkboard and you write down, oh, it's the first day and here's their teacher favorite color and all that. And what do you want to be when you grow up? And she had me write a realtor. So I thought that was really cool. I took a picture and I sent it to White, the owner. Just like, you have
a little too early to start poaching 5-year-olds, but at least start building that pipeline.
I guess so, right? Yeah, if that's what they like, heck, I mean, it's a wonderful industry to be part of. So I would, of course, support that. So.
All right, so we're going to get out our crystal balls here. And your daughters are still young, so let's just say 20
Yeah.
years from now, what do you think what do you think real estate's even going to look like in 20 years from now?
That's hard to say. And you're right. I don't have a crystal ball, right? So we know that the market's going to continue to move in cycles, right?
Of course.
What's going to happen in 20 years? I honestly, 20 years, I have no idea. I mean, think back where we were 20 years prior to this. I mean, even 10 years, the last 10 years was just a very dynamic 10 years for real estate, the lowest low and the highest highs, and it's been bizarre. But 20 years, it's hard to predict.
Right. I mean, but the way, of course, like you said, the market's going to be the market. Looking at what's happened with technology, like you said, even from the time you left to have the girls, since you came back, how quickly that's progressed.
Right.
The players, the Zillows of the world, and some of these other players that are popping up, and it's like some of the evolution of this AI. It's like, who in the hell knows what this market's going to look like? Who knows where we're even going to be living in 20 years? But right. Yeah, it's going to be wild. I think technology probably drives most of what's going to happen, because it feels like it's already changed the industry so much.
It is definitely changing the industry. You have a lot of these big websites that are now forming brokerages, right. Like that, and offering to buy houses cash, and all sorts of different things that are constantly happening that, us as agents really need to adapt to, and listen to what the consumer is hearing, and still remind what value we bring to the table, right? Because you have a
Absolutely.
lot of kind of poaching from that aspect. So.
Yeah, right. It's going to be like how the value is going to be huge, the value prop, but it's like the agents are going to have to fight back against the technology because these companies are popping daily, and it'll make it interesting. That's for sure. It won't be an old sleepy industry like it probably has been for the prior 100 years. It's definitely going to evolve probably faster than some of the other ones that are out there.
Right. Well, I'm all for the challenge. So
Exactly. So this market, obviously, we've dealt with a pandemic, which nobody could have figured out. We've had an interesting election season and all that goes along with it. Luckily, we've had the best summer and weather that you could have thus far. Tell me some of the challenges you've seen in this market, specifically with how you had to deal with COVID, and how it affected any of your clients or closings or anything like that.
Sure. There's definitely been some deals that have been affected. I can't say have fallen apart due to COVID. Fortunately, I didn't deal with any of that. But when it originally happened, I just freaked out because I had no idea what was going to happen with them shutting everything down. How are we going to close out our deals? I have point of sales that still need to be done. Are we going to be able to title these houses? What's going to happen here? At the time, I maybe 12, 13 deals going, that were pending,
right.
So that was stressful, but it was bizarre kind of what happened, because after about, I would say, a couple weeks of feeling really uneasy about what was going to happen, things started to somewhat fall in place. And okay, so we're still going to be able to, get these transactions closed. I'm still going to be able to get this house on the market. I'm still going to be able to, show to this buyer and things of that nature. So, and it was really surprising what happened. Obviously with the interest rates being so low, lack of inventory.
What interest rates?
Yeah. What interest rates? Yeah.
What inventory and what interest rates?
Yeah, right. Exactly. No interest and no inventory. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the perfect storm, and it just kept myself, I'm sure every other agent you're working with, extremely busy.
Yeah. I can't believe it's still going this strong into November. I mean, October for our company was one of the best new order months ever. Right. If you'd have told me that at the beginning of the year, it was going to be a good year, but that October would be better than any of the other ones with how crazy the summer was. Right. That's impossible.
Well, there's still a lot of buyers out there fighting for houses.
Oh, I'm sure.
Just so they're all going into multiples. It's just, they're fighting for houses. There's so many buyers. I'm still working with buyers that I've been working with for several months,
Right.
that bid on homes and not the highest bid. And we're well over asking, but, you just have to advise them to be very realistic with what they're doing here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up with the final question. And as you can see, we've got Steph's Facebook down here. You can find, she has a dedicated agent page. You can find that at Steph Snavely, Realtor Remax Traditions. And we've also got Instagram. You can find her there as well. But the final question, like it is for everybody else, is what is the one thing you'd want the listeners to take away from our discussion today?
Ooh. Well, I guess that depends on who the listener is, right?
Does anyone listen? I'm not even sure, but I think there's some people who do tune in.
Sell their house, call me. No, I don't know. I guess it's just kind of really cool to be part of this show. Thank you for asking me, to be part of this.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, really cool to be part of this industry, and yeah, it just
perfect. Well, good. Well, again, I want to thank you for coming on. We're just about wrapped up here. And yeah, like I said, find her on Instagram. You've got her contact information here as well if you want to reach out via phone or email. Thanks so much, Steph. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Bye.